Welcome to Coming Home. Survive and thrive in homeschooling. Service. In a couple of weeks, I have an interview scheduled with homeschool parents who use the threefold approach to home education of bookwork, business, and service. They will talk more about it then, but if you'd like a preview, find Raymond and Dorothy Moore's books. These were some of the first homeschooling books I read when we started homeschooling in 1997, and like me, you'll probably find them in your homeschool library. Whilst they did influence me, especially defining the what and why of service, I hadn't come across anyone who had implemented them as the basis of a homeschooling life. I'll not talk any more about this today, as I'm looking forward to hearing from them in the interview. So for today, I'm going to reflect on service, what it meant to us and what we did. Well, what did we do? The first year of homeschooling, we joined another family in singing in a rest home once a week. I really didn't like this. It felt awkward. Thinking about it, I wonder what pleasure and joy it brought to some of the lonely and bedridden in the home. That should have mattered more to me than the feeling slightly silly singing in corridors and in the lounge area. I'm not a performing person, and I can't say any of our children found it easy either, but good on them for keeping on. It was our first serving commitment, and we carried on to the end of the year and found another serving activity, which was Meals on Wheels. This is a service through our hospitals to deliver hot meals to usually the elderly in their homes. The hospital kitchen does the meals and we supply the wheels. We'd pick up a couple of boxes, check them off on the list and set off on the usual route we had been assigned. Our children would take the meals to the doors, and I'll never forget the smiles it brought to some of their faces. One old lady in particular would stand at her door with the happiest smile and wave until we'd driven away. There was an old man who'd give them a Macintosh sweetie each week. They always smelt a bit musty, so I have no idea how old they were, but the kids appreciated them and he loved to give them. I think we did that for a year or so. Petrol went up a bit, so we had to stop to help our household budget. So we started to do housework for grandparents and helping at Music and Movement, a weekly activity for babies and preschoolers at our church with music, songs, instruments, and of course, helping with morning tea and cleaning up. There are biscuits with hundreds and thousands on the pink icing, which are still called music biscuits by our now grown children. There were more things, but that will do for now. A few years went by, and the Duke of Edinburgh Award entered our lives. On the service team were many activities such as gardening for the elderly, single mums and invalids, fruit picking, jam making, meals for church freezer, beach cleanups, and planting trees. See my podcast number 24 on the Duke of Edinburgh Award for more details. Why did we include service for our homeschooling years? We wanted our children to see outside their own safe and warm home. We wanted them to know there are people who need help all around them if they will only look. We are naturally selfish creatures, and children especially so. I'm not saying that's wrong. It's human, but it's our duty as parents to teach our children to think of and care for others. A well-educated but selfish individual is more dangerous than helpful in this world. What are some of the immediate results on the receivers and the givers of service? Well, the garden is now weeded, the grass mown, and the hedge trimmed, and the stress of feeling they can't do what they used to do lessened for now. Fruit, which would have rotted, is picked and bagged for food parcels, and jam is made. Meals are in the church freezer for homes with a new baby or a sick parent or someone coping with chemotherapy. The beach and a local park is free of rubbish until tomorrow. Trees will grow on the island reserve, preventing erosion and bringing birds and animals back into the habitat. In general, we left our service area in a better state than when we came, and people served are grateful and blessed. Those who served are also blessed and feeling uplifted with their contribution to making their corner of the world a better place. The old proverb of "it's more blessed to give than to receive" is once again proven. There's a bigger purpose to why we serve others. It involves giving something of yourself away: time, resources, perhaps money, but not necessarily. It's a sacrifice to a favourable outcome. But what? What if it's more than the simple and foremost effect of gratitude of the receiver and the warm fuzzies of the giver? I was told of an elderly lady whose faith was restored in young people by what they did. Not all were rowdy layabouts after all. Another elderly person was surprised by the joy he felt in listening to the happy chatter as the work team went about working on his garden. For many of the actions of service, the givers will never see the result. The gratitude of the mum of the newborn who sits down with her family to eat a meal prepared in love. The givers will never see it, but you know it is appreciated, and that's part of the pleasure of serving, the blessing unseen. Beaches and parks left tidy with rubbish picked up leaves a pleasant and safe place for the locals. It's not that we clean up because we're looking after Mother Earth like she's a goddess. It's because God created our world and asked us to take care of it. Similar, but very different. There's a sense of knowing there's a higher purpose in life when we serve others. Christians believe God created man in his own image. If that's true, it makes a big difference to the why we serve. There are the seen results of serving and giving from oneself, but a bigger and more powerful effect in the world about us. Something good or divine happens in a spiritual blessing from God to ourselves, others, and the earth because we have served or sacrificed in some way. We may never know what, but many times you can sense it. Sometimes we see it years later. I'm not saying Christians are the only ones to give or serve others. But if you're in a culture where hundreds of years of a Christian worldview have made it normal to live this way, don't assume it's the same everywhere. Parents all around the world love their children, but other places may not see helping others as we do, especially if it's believed the state of one's life is due to a previous life and wrongs needing to be worked out in this one. There is a difference between pride and blessing of service. I've touched on this already, but let me tease this out a bit more. It's natural to feel good with a rush of endorphins when we have done something good, but it needs to be the result of what we do and not the reason we do it. Sometimes there's little gratitude shown, or you come home with blisters or a headache, or the spade was broken because someone was a little gung-ho clearing weeds around the concrete driveway. We serve because it's the right thing to do, not because we feel virtuous. It's the chance you take to do the job for the purpose of serving regardless of the result. You trust that somehow clearing the rubbish from the park, weeding the grumpy old lady's garden, and making jam was worth it because it was the right thing to do. Most of the time, there will be a feeling of being blessed by blessing, but that's not the reason we serve. We serve because every person is made in God's image, no matter how grouchy or mean, and because this is God's earth. Service like this does something. I'm finding it hard to define, but I hope you get the sense of the higher purpose I am trying to convey. I hope this has given you ideas and encourages you to actively find opportunities for you and your children to serve. It is a vital part of their education. For more information and resources to help you in your homeschooling, please visit our website, cominghomeinfo.com, and please like, share, and subscribe, all those things which will help this podcast get in front of more homeschoolers just like you. Thank you.